Welcome to Thriving Thoughts, a podcast for women who believe in thriving in any and every circumstance. Every week, we have candid conversations with remarkable women about how they silence the little lies in their minds and overcome their shoulds, coulds, and not enoughs with big truths. I'm your host, Dr. Sherri. Now let's thrive. Hey sisters, welcome to this special bonus episode with me, your friend, your sister at heart, Dr. Sherri. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you who are joining me today to hear this special message that's on my heart. It occurred to me that I needed to explain a little bit about the foundation for having a thriving thought world, why I called my podcast Thriving Thoughts. And for those of you who are detail-oriented, you noticed the tagline, Little Lies, Big Truths. So today, from my heart, I'm going to share a little bit with you about why little lies and big truths are really the foundation for having a thriving thought world and what that looks like. What that looks like not only in your mind, right, in the way that you think, but the way that looks like in your heart and how that looks, how that turns out in your reality. So I'm going to talk with you a little bit about that. I'd love for you to take some notes. I'd love for you to reach out to me and give me some feedback. You can DM me on Facebook or on Instagram. I will include those links in the show notes for you. So you don't need to write anything down right now. It'll be in the show notes. Just simply click. I'd love to hear from you. If there's a truth that I speak to you today that resonates with you, would you please let me know? There is not much more that brings me great joy than to hear from sisters like you that I would never have had the opportunity to meet were it not for this podcast that I believe is a blessing straight from the Lord. So thank you for hearing my heart today. And then, sisters, I'm going to share a little bit with you about a program that I've started called Listener Truths, because it is my desire that this podcast, that this message is for every woman, I'm going to start singing. Every woman hearing my voice, every woman hearing this podcast. That's why I say, share it with a friend, not because I want my message to be spread, but because every time I come on here, y'all, I pray and I ask God that my words would be His and not mine. And so I believe that. I believe that He will accomplish that. And because of that, I want you to share this message with a sister who may be in just the right place at just the right time, and she needs to hear it. So thanks for joining me, and here we go. All right, let's talk about little lies and big truths. Look, every one of us has a particular set of truths that we believe deep down, and sometimes at the forefront of our minds. And all of us also have a set of little lies that we tell ourselves. And those are different for each of us. Our truths and our lies, they're different for each of us. And it really just depends on a lot of things. It depends on our temperament. It depends, that we were born with. It depends on our life experiences. It depends on our relationships with our primary caregivers. There's a lot of psychology behind why we believe what we believe, right? And so I think that as women, we need to first understand just how much influence over our reality those little lies and big truths have. So let me explain a couple of concepts about little lies and big truths and what I mean by that. So each of us, like I said, we have lies that we believe in. And these can be lies that we've been taught, right? That other people have said to us. For example, I remember working in the jail. I did some classes there. Wellness classes is what I called them, because I believed that they also needed to have some truth and life spoken into them. So I went in every week, and every other week I worked with the women, and every other week I worked with the men. And one of the things that was presented to me that really was an eye-opener, and it's not anything that's shocking or earth-shattering. I think that we know this, but to hear it from somebody personally, it really does bring home the point that we each have a different set of little lies. And so if you're listening today, I want you to understand that your little lies may be different. It doesn't make them less significant or less important because it's not a lie that another woman can relate to, right? I guarantee you there is a woman out there that can relate to it. But anyway, I digress. See, y'all, I can wax long. This is what I do. I get on a roll and I start wanting to speak and pour truth into you, and I can get sidetracked a little bit. So thank you for your patience with me. So this inmate, this young man who happened to be incarcerated, he said, he asked me, he said, Sherri, he said, I get everything you're saying, because we were talking about little lies and big truths and the things that we believe about ourselves and others in the world. And he said, I get what you're saying. I totally believe what you're saying. But what if all you've ever been told is that you're going to be nothing? You're going to grow up to be nothing. You will never matter. What if you've been told that? And, I said, you're absolutely right. I think those lies that we're taught by the people who are supposed to love us the most, those are the most difficult to get over. They're the most difficult to speak truth over because they've become so rooted and so ingrained in who we are, right? And sisters, it's not impossible to rewire your brain and speak truth over those and make that whisper, that lie, become a whisper instead of shouting at you at every turn. Make it become a whisper until it's virtually non-existent, until the truth, the big truth, comes and stomps on that little lie. So those are the lies that we're taught by the people who love us and by people who don't love us. There's lies that we're taught by society in general. Look, y'all, this is not anything new to you. Just pick up a copy of Glamour or Vogue or Us Weekly with the celebrities, whatever it is, these covers that we're bombarded with as we're in the grocery store checkout line, with our Snickers bar, like sitting on the conveyor belt. And then there we are. Bam, there's this perfect size 0, size 2 model, no cellulite whatsoever. Come on, y'all. When will we get real? So these are the lies that we're told by society. And that's just through magazine covers, y'all. Look at all of the movie stars. Look at how women are portrayed as that's how we're supposed to be. And if you're not that way, then here's the lie. If you are not that way, then there is something wrong with you. There is a deficiency about you, right? So sometimes we're taught those lies, and y'all, that's a lie, by the way. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But some of those lies that's what society tells us. So there's lies that we're taught by the people in our lives. There's lies that society tells us every day, day in and day out. That's why, sisters, we have to be equipped. We have to be prepared. We have to build a foundation of truth that speaks louder than the lies. Do you hear me? Because those lies are incessant. They will never stop. They will never stop coming for you. Right? They will never stop. And it's almost maddening, but here's the beautiful truth that you have the power and the ability. You were granted this from on high. I'll get to that too, y'all. You have the power to be able to speak truth over that, and y'all, to lock arms with one another, to speak truth to one another, because I think there's a lot of things that we do as women. I think we're the chief offenders that exacerbate these lies, that make them swell, that make them larger than life, and make them keep coming back into play for us. For example, just about appearance, right? A woman's just had a baby. And what does another woman say? Oh my gosh, you look so amazing for just having a baby. Sisters, stop it. Why are we calling attention to something that is going to, in other words, burn up? This is our house, our physical house. Yes, we have a responsibility to take care of it. And yes, we are designed perfectly. There is nothing wrong with us. We were not meant to be the same. If we were all meant to be the same, none of us would have anything of value. Do you hear me? You were crafted to be different, to be unique. I know that word is played out a lot, but the uniqueness of you is unmistakable. It's undeniable. And oh my gosh, you guys, it should be celebrated, not diminished, not shoved in the corner, in the shadow of these lies that society tells us. This is what you're supposed to look like. This is how your home is supposed to look like. This is what your significant other is supposed to look like. This is how accomplished your kids are supposed to be, right? That's enough of that. Look, we get enough of that from society. We do not need to be telling those lies to one another, right? So the little lies, if we're not careful, can grow into big truths. Listen, there are things that we believe about ourselves that are lies that even now some of us don't realize our lies. We don't realize that we have spent so much of our lives believing this thing, speaking it to ourselves, getting it deeply, intricately woven into the fabric of our very being, that it has become a big truth. And sometimes it's hard to see outside of that. I'll give you another example. I talked with a woman, and she said, Sherri, she said, I don't know whether or not I want, she said, these are my two options. I can either have a man who beats me, or I can have a man who yells at me and puts me down. That was her box. That was her frame of reference. So the lie was, this is what men are like. Which is the lesser of the two evils? Which one can I tolerate more? So for her, that literally, and it's heartbreaking when we can look at somebody else. Listen, sisters, this is an obligation for us. When we hear somebody else speaking death, speaking a lie over themselves, it's our obligation to say, hey, have you considered there's an alternative? Have you considered that there's a truth that far outweighs, that in fact just not only outweighs, but it kills, it puts to shame, it puts to death the little lie that you've believed for so many years. So those little lies can become big truths. The other part of that little lies, big truths, you guys, why I started this podcast is because I want you to know that there is an opportunity to speak big truth over the little lies, to kill them once and for all. So that is the foundation of having a thriving thought world. It's the little lies and the big truths. And for today, I'm not going to address all of the little lies, you guys. I'm actually going to address a big lie. And I want you to maybe right now, take out your notebook. Go ahead, write down some little lies that you have about yourself. But I'm about to hit you with a big one that I think if we really stopped and thought about, I think it would change a lot of how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about others, and how we feel about our place in the world. All right, so let me ask you ladies a question. Do you believe that you were created on purpose? Or do you believe that your existence is an accident? So let me ask that again. Do you believe that you were created on purpose? Or do you believe that you are an accident? That's a question that I want you to answer, and I want you to give some serious thought to. And listen, for me, sisters, I'll be totally transparent. I'm a believer, and I believe in the inerrancy of the Word of God, of Scripture. And that informs a lot of the truths. It actually informs all of the truths that you guys hear. I just don't always reference it or say that. But I wanted to get personal with you today because, and I'm not going to go into deep scriptural references here, okay? This is not a sermon. This is just an alternative I'm offering to you. So I want you to think about somebody who believes that they were created on accident. Or, well, actually, they can't believe they were created on accident because then they would be created on purpose. Who believes that their existence is an accident. And I know there's lots of sisters out there who have been told that they were an accident, that they were a mistake, that they will always be a mistake, that nobody could basically find value in them because they are an accident. So let's just take that for a moment. And let's say that's true. Let's say you were created on accident. Or you were, there I go again. See, I can't get away from it. I believe we were created on purpose. And so that big truth keeps mouthing off over that little lie. So that's actually a good thing, y'all. So if you believe that you're an accident, then there is no purpose to you, right? Because purpose is deliberate. Purpose is not an accident. Purpose is something that is inherently designed into the created product. For example, somebody who crafts a desk, a wood desk, hand carved, right? Out in the wood shop. They have a specific purpose for it. They don't just make something and then go, I wonder what this could be used for. Let me just set it on the shelf until I figure it out. Or, well, that thing can only be used for this. And all of the rest of the time, it's just going to sit in the corner and collect dust, right? No. The craftsman, the carpenter, the sculptor, the designer, the artist, they create something on purpose, either to have a specific function or to provide a specific message, right? Now, if you're anything like me and you go to the Modern Museum of Modern Art, I don't know what that message is, y'all. I am not a scholar in abstract art or modern art at all, But I can tell you this, that the person who designed that, the person who crafted that piece of art had a specific purpose for it, a specific intent, and a specific message for the viewer, for the observer to be able to take away, right? And that may mean that they wanted each observer to take away something different. I don't know, but that's how art works, right? It's the same thing with music. Music gives us a message. It's created for a specific purpose. That desk is created for a specific purpose. It's not meant to sit on, although I sit on mine sometimes. It's not meant for that, right? It's meant, like right now I'm using it. I've got my computer and my microphone and my phone sitting beside me and some other little trinkets and odds and ends on my desk. That's what it's for. I know what it's for. It has its place, right? So a desk isn't made on accident. And if you believe a desk isn't made on accident, then how in the world could you believe that you, a creature, a thinking, feeling, loving, breathing, life-giving creature, was made on accident? If a desk is made on purpose, an inanimate object is made on purpose, then certainly you've got to consider that it's true that you were created on purpose. I was at a conference, I don't know, gosh, it's been probably 8 months or so ago. And one of the things that I had the women repeat after me at the very end of my talk was this: you were created on purpose for a purpose and the world needs you. So I'm going to ask you to do that right now. Even if you don't believe me, y'all, just yet, you're going to believe me. Trust me. By the time this is said and done, you're going to believe me. I want you to just say to yourself or write it down: I was created on purpose for a purpose, and the world needs me. Now listen, let me go back to that. Stick that aside for just a second. I just want you to think about that. Let me go back and talk about that desk for a second. See, the desk has its place. I know exactly what it's used for. It's valuable to me. Every home I've ever lived in, every office I've ever been in has had a desk, right? We need a desk. A desk is needed. It's not any less needed than the chair that sits in front of the desk, right? If I have the chair but not the desk, then it's incomplete. I can't do anything. I can't make my keyboard or my laptop levitate, right? Don't have that power. Wouldn't that be fun? But so one without the other is incomplete. Do you understand that? So the desk has its place. It's designed. It's crafted for a purpose. And I know exactly when to go to it. The desk is not confused about its identity. The desk knows it's a desk. And y'all, I know it might sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but it's because I'll say the same thing 800 different ways until you hear the truth. So if a simple desk, an inanimate desk, is needed, is valued, has its place, will always be present, and I know exactly what to use it for, don't you think you are too? Look, again, I'm not going to go deep into scripture, but I can tell you this, that the Bible tells us that we were formed and crafted, every single part of our inner being. That's our feelings, that's our temperament, that's our tendencies, that's our idiosyncrasies, that's our irritations to others, right? That's our strengths, that's our personality, that's the way we love and show love and want love. All of that, that's our innermost being, our minds, everything. Our minds, our hearts, our souls, that is our innermost being. And that was knit together in the womb of our mom, right? That was knit together on purpose. There's some other places in the Bible, y'all, that talk about God knows the number of hairs on your heads. Now, some of you might be in the thinning hair department, kind of like me. Well, I'm actually not in the thinning hair department. I've always had thin hair, and it's really kind of funny because actually when people touch my hair for the first time, they're like, wow, your hair's really thin. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Thanks. But that's not a flaw, y'all. That's just how God made me, right? But everybody is also surprised. They're like, wow, it looks so full and thick. And I'm like, yeah, well, there's a lot of things that go into that. But the point is, all of those hairs, your hairs, you might have, that thick, lustrous mane that you see on magazine covers that everybody's like, wow, that's so amazing. The grass is always greener, right? We always want hair that we don't have. If it's straight, we want curly. If it's curly, we want straight. If it's dark, we want light. I mean, come on. It's endless, right? We're always looking for ways to change ourselves. And I am not down on that, y'all. I do highlights. I dye my hair. I do all that fun stuff because it's fun. And I like to decorate the package, right? So nothing wrong with that. So don't walk away from here saying Dr. Sherri said there's something wrong with dyeing your hair. No, there's not. The point of this. See, again, y'all, you got to reel me back in. This is a problem with not doing lives and having this pre-recorded. Listen, God knows every number of hair on your heads, whether that's 5 or whether that's 5 million. He knows the number of hair on your head. The other thing that is really super cool, that just speaks such truth and love and life over me, is that the Bible says, and some of y'all may not know this, it actually says that God holds your tears in a bottle, every one of your tears. So that means that God's got like a shelf or something. I don't know. I don't know what he's got. Maybe they're just swimming around in the ether. These bottles, that one of them is yours. One of them has all of your tears. Now listen, if you matter that much, that the creator of the universe, of the mountains and the seas and all of that, if you matter that much that he took the time to pay attention to you, to form every single part of your innermost being in the womb, to also know the number of hairs on your head, to also having a sacred place, a sacred vessel where he cares for and gently pours your tears into them. Y'all, does that not make you convinced that you were created on purpose? You were created on purpose. That is the foundation of having a thriving thought world. Because if I really believe, y'all, let's say that's a big truth, right? This belief is a big truth. I was created on purpose for a purpose and the world needs me. There is nothing that will stop me from going out there and delivering that purpose, from looking at myself as a gift. I talked with Kathy Friend on episode 6 about how I feel like we're all walking around like gift baskets. Like we're just these amazing gift baskets that were created on purpose, and no two of us are alike, right? Like, I mean, think about this with a pair of jeans, right? Oh my gosh, how many of you can relate to this? So you say, oh, I'm this size in a pair of jeans, but oh, no, I'm that size at Target. I'm that size on Amazon. Oh, I'm that size at Aeropostale. Oh, I'm that size at JCPenney, right? Like a pair of jeans, it doesn't matter. Like they're all different. I don't even care if they're made by the same designer. They could all be the same size. They're all different. They're all unique. That is you, sister. You are unique. Now, here's the beauty of that. I want you to step back from that for a minute. Remember that picture? I want you to picture in your head. I've got this picture now of all of these bottles of tears, like kind of swirling around, and God's just gently looking at them and holding them and saying, I hear you. I see you. You matter to me, right? If we believe that, then why are we looking at other people's bottles? Like, why don't we focus on our own bottle, that matters, that what's in that bottle, all of that heart and feeling and passion and all of the hurts and all of the rejections and all of the resentments and all of the dark places that we go in our minds, right? That we release through tears, those are held in a bottle. And so what we end up doing, though, is we end up looking at other women, other sisters who are equally created on purpose, uniquely designed, uniquely crafted. There are no two of us alike. No two of us are alike, y'all. And here's the beauty of that. Each one of us has our perfect purpose, our perfect place, our perfect design, our perfect heart, our perfect idiosyncrasies. Listen, there's this myth that we have. I can't stand it, y'all. I'm not going to get on the topic for too long, but there's a myth that we have strengths and weaknesses, right? And you can go into a job interview and people will say, tell me what your weaknesses are. Like, stop. What are you talking about? God did not create you with weaknesses. God does not make imperfect things. Do you hear me? God does not make imperfect things, and he did not make you imperfect when he made you. There is nothing wrong with you. Everything about you is exactly who he created you to be. Here's the trick. 1, you got to believe that. And 2, once you believe that, you discover it. Once you know that you were created on purpose for a purpose and the world needs you, you start to walk in it. You start to hear from other people why you are so valuable to them. You start to hear what makes you thrive. Even if you don't feel it, other people, the loved ones in your life, can speak truth to you if you're not in a place to speak truth to yourself. They can say, this is why I value you so much. Ask your friends, say, what is it about me that makes me unique? What is it about me that makes me valuable? Because look, sometimes we need to ask other people. Be careful who you ask, right? Don't ask somebody who you know is going to hurt you or put you down. Ask somebody who really loves you, who has your best interests at heart. So here's the truth, ladies. If you were created on purpose for a purpose and the world needs you, then the woman sitting next to you in church this morning, the woman sitting next to you at the networking event that you're going to this week, the woman sitting next to you who is your direct competitor in business, guess what? She too is unique. She too was created on purpose for a purpose, and the world needs her. Now, get this, y'all. If everybody was crafted, specifically designed, the innermost parts of you were crafted to create this perfect product, this perfect gift package, this perfect you, then why in the heck are we investing our energy in comparing ourselves? Because comparison says that we are supposed to be the same. Comparison says we are all supposed to have this non-hourglass figure, right? This straight kind of boy-like figure, or this conversely, like, big boobs, little hips, like, I'm sorry, y'all, but I've never seen that. And if I have, it's because we did some augmentation or something like that. But you can tell when somebody's body is a certain way. You can tell if it's been altered, right, from its natural state. It's just what makes us unique, right? So, but here we are. We're saying that I believe I was uniquely crafted, but I also believe you were uniquely crafted. But we're supposed to be striving for the same things. We are supposed to be looking the same. We're supposed to be feeling the same. Success is supposed to look the same to both of us. What you do is how I want to do it. I want to emulate myself after you. And look, I'm not talking about not having role models. I'm not talking about not having people that encourage you and inspire you. But really, they shouldn't even be a model for you. You are the model. The mold was broken with you. I know that's trite, but it's true. The mold was broken with you. You do not need any shaping. What you need to do is believe that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Believe that big truth, right? Throw in the pit the little lie that says there's nothing special about you. There's nothing unique about you. Because let me tell you, you have a perfect place. You have a perfect purpose, and the world needs you. I need you. I may not know you, but I need you. You're a part of a puzzle. I was actually talking with a little girl the other day, and she was telling me how her and her teacher didn't get along. And I said, well, you know what? I said, here's the great thing. We're all part of a puzzle, right? And it takes every single piece of that puzzle to make a complete picture, to make the world complete, right? Going back to the desk. I can't use the desk. Well, I can use the desk, but it's kind of uncomfortable unless I have a Trex desk. Anyway, can't use the desk without the chair. Can't use the chair without the So there's things that go seamlessly together, like peanut butter and jelly, or like banana and peanut butter. I know some of y'all probably don't like that. But the things that would seem like they're most opposite and most different, they're meant to be paired together. So here's the other truth. That you weren't meant to serve that purpose. You weren't meant to fulfill that perfect place and perfect function that you were created for, that perfect person in isolation. You were meant to do that in partnership, in concert with other created beings. So what we do, though, is we make the mistake, we lie, and we start to compare ourselves to the created rather than focusing on the fact that we were uniquely created, right? We were uniquely designed. We're not supposed to be like the next creation sitting next to us. We are supposed to love them and supposed to work with them, right? But anyway, I was telling with this little girl, I said, look, maybe for you and your teacher, you guys are both integral parts of the world. Like the world could not function like it does without you, right? If you're living, if you're breathing, you're still a living, viable, needed, necessary puzzle piece, okay? When you're gone, that little piece is still there, by the way, because you live on forever in your friends and family. And, well, there's lots of other ways you can live on forever, too, but I won't get into that here. But I said, maybe you and your teacher are puzzle pieces, and you're just on opposite sides of the puzzle, where you just don't quite fit together. You don't fit near each other, and that's okay. You see, what we do, too, is we think that we're supposed to get along with everybody. We think we're supposed to like everybody. We think relationships are supposed to last forever. Sometimes they're for a season, right? And as we sharpen and hone the unique us that we were created to be, sometimes it changes. It changes our realities, right? Because when we believe we're an accident, we strive to be like everybody else because we don't know who we're supposed to be. But when we believe we were created on purpose, we strive to fulfill that purpose. We strive to refine and hone and sharpen who we are and deliver that and share that and serve other people with who we were meant to be because we have that perfect place and perfect purpose. We desire to be fulfilled by fulfilling others with that unique purpose that only we can do. Nobody else can do it. Did you know that? Nobody else can do what you do the way that you do it in the way that you do it. Nobody can. Nobody was meant to, right? So stop trying to make your social media accounts look like everybody else's social media accounts. Stop trying to make your home or your family or your children look like what the magazines, what TV, what reality shows, what the famous, what the rich say it's supposed to look like. Tap into you, and that is the way that you shine brighter than anything possibly could shine. When you believe that you were created on purpose, you can't believe that there is nothing valuable about you. You believe that you are valuable. And so when you're valuable and you believe you're valuable, that's a big truth, right? So I was created on purpose. Yes. Oh, that must mean I'm valuable. Yes, because it was intentional when I was made. Yes, I'm valuable. So then I matter. And when I believe that I matter, guess what, y'all? I start to treat myself differently. I start to value myself differently. You know, there's a lot of talk about boundaries and stuff like that, and what you tolerate, and teach people what you tolerate and stuff like that in relationships, significant other, or in friendships, right? But see, when you know your value, that comes naturally because the value is at the forefront. And it's not a matter of training yourself of what are your boundaries and defining them. It's a matter of you knowing who you are and who you're not. That's it. Knowing who you are and who you're not, and knowing what you're worth and what you would consider as unworthy of you, right? Because if you're valuable, then you would take nothing less than other people treating you like the gem, like the valuable person, the valuable woman, the remarkable woman that you are, right? And then that goes into relationships. Do you see now the connection between believing if you were created on purpose that you have value, then therefore I'm going to value myself. I'm going to take care of myself better. Therefore, I'm going to attract people to me and only invite people into my space that value me like the valuable person that I am, right? Versus I'm an accident. I don't have a purpose. Therefore, I've got to look to other people to find that purpose. I've got to look to them to tell me that I matter. I've got to look to them, to the external world, to external things, to external people and the things that they say or don't say for validation, for value. As opposed to knowing that value comes straight from within. It came from inside the womb before you even breathed your first breath. So that's my truth to you today, my friends. I think that too many of us women are walking around not living, not even being set up to live a life of abundance, a life where we thrive, because we've missed that very foundational belief, that very foundational big truth that you were created on purpose for a purpose and the world needs you. You are not an accident, my friend. You were created on purpose. All right, sisters, I really hope that you were encouraged by those truths. And so with that, I want to introduce to you a little series that I'm doing on social media that I wanted to start. I created because I wanted to involve you, the listener, my sister in arms, my sister in spirit, who I may never get to meet in person. But you're listening to my voice and I'm just, gosh, I wish I could just sit and have a cup of coffee with you. And I'm not going to be able to do that with all of you, and that's okay. But I do want to give a platform to you to share your little lies, big truths moments. So I've created a social media series that's going to be kind of a tandem to this podcast, not just this episode, but every episode, of listener truths, where I'm going to ask you sisters to connect with me, to tell me, hey, listen, Dr. Sherri, after listening to this episode, this is a little lie that I told myself that I believed for a long time. And here's how this episode is helping me to speak truth over that. So would you help me to understand that this message of little lies, big truths is resonating with you? Would you help me to give your voice a voice to reach other women who need to hear your little lies, big truths moments? Because listen, they need to hear from more than just me. They need to hear from more than just my podcast guests, right? They need to hear from you. Everyday, remarkable women who are listening, who may be able to say something in such a way that another sister needs to hear. And I don't say that to guilt you. I say that to invite you into this movement with me. Invite you into this place where we can lock arms with each other, where we can champion one another, where we can say, hey, here, I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to say this is a little lie that I dealt with. And here's how I'm learning to speak truth over that. And here's what Thriving Thoughts Podcast how it's helped me do that. That's it. And then we can put your picture on social media. We can tag you. You can share it with all your friends. It's going to be super fun, you guys. So listen, there's going to be a number of ways you'll see on social media. If you follow me on Facebook or on Instagram, Facebook is at Dr. Sherri and Instagram is at Dr. Sherri Speaks. That's at Dr. Speaks. Of course, the links to my social media accounts will be in the show notes for you. So no need to write that down. Or to learn how to spell my name right, just follow the link. So I'll be offering some more alternative ways for you to get in touch with me, to share your listener truths that I cannot wait to hear on social media. But for today, if you're listening to this podcast, just email me. Would you email us at the show, thrivingthoughts@drsherrispeaks.com. Again, I'm going to put that link in the show notes for you. So it's thrivingthoughts@drsherrispeaks.com. So just shoot me an email and say, hey, Dr. Sherri, this was one of my favorite episodes, and it helped me to speak truth over this little lie that I, had popping up in my head all the time. And maybe this can encourage another sister. And be sure to share with us your social media handles, and we'll tag you, and it'll be really fun. Let's just create a movement of sisters who aren't afraid to talk about the truth that we all have, these little lies that we face. And it's high time that we've learned to speak truth over them so that we can have that foundation to live a thriving thought world. As always, I'm humbled you chose to join me this week for Thriving Thoughts. It's women like you who listen, subscribe, and give us thoughtful reviews that allow our message of thriving in any and every circumstance to reach even more women who need a healthy dose of truth speaking. I'm Dr. Sherri, and I'm grateful to be your Thriving Thoughts host, where we're shifting perspectives and speaking life to you so you can thrive. Be sure to tune in next week and share this episode with a friend. Until then, remember, overcome your little lies with big truths.